Does it bother you guys that excuses that flimsy are enough to just completely skip over due process?
Yes.
Or the thing I'm super worried about is Trump is very adamant that American citizens are going to El Salvador next. And they seem very gleeful about it, playing the chain clinking ASMR or the people getting imported on the plane and it says wheels up. And the El Salvador area, to my understanding, is not like a traditional prison. Not one single person that has gone in has ever come out. It's a concentration camp where you disappear people permanently.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the same
And they're
page
like,
with,
fuck
the
yeah, we're
American
just cranking this
citizen part.
concentration camp.
It bothers me that
American
people
citizens
don't
stay
get
American.
upset until it's a citizen. I'm like, so, like,
oh no, that's
we don't
normal.
have basic right and wrong in this. Like we don't have any sense of morality or just being good or treating humans like humans. It's only unless I'm in potential danger. Like murder's okay so long as it's not people named Woody.
No,
you know what?
but
Until it affects me, I'm cool with it.
I don't think that's a fair framing. Like, I don't like the idea of sending citizens because a government exists. It should exist solely to improve the lives of the citizenry that is supporting it and living within those borders. Like that's how nations have always worked. Nations should prioritize their citizens. If someone is illegal, they should be out of here. Like that's as simple as like send them back. But I also see like and I've said this before, when someone's deported from here to Venezuela or whatever, because that's where they're from and they're illegal, I don't like unless they're an actual criminal. I don't want them put in a Venezuelan prison. I don't like that's up to Venezuela then. That's their issue. What happens with that guy?
Venezuela
but if you're illegal, we have an issue here. Like we have tens of millions of illegals in our country and they don't belong here. And they make our housing more expensive. They make our healthcare more expensive. They make our education system more expensive. They're a net drain economically. We don't want these people here. And even if some of them are, hardworking, that's great. Become a citizen. Like, don't break into our country. That's fucking bananas. And so I don't see it as like good and bad, right and wrong. I see the right as like protecting our country and removing people who don't belong here. And that doesn't need to be done in a cruel way. You can do it in a way where it's like, hey, you're probably not an evil person, but you shouldn't have broke in here. And we're sending you back to Venezuela. And then what the Venezuelan government does with you is what they do with you. That's on them now.
Venezuela won't take people.
That's not what's happening. That is.
So it's largely what's happening, aside from a few examples that are over the line that we agreed, like sending him to a concentration camp without, gleefully cheering that on.
Yeah,
and it's
we're
not
sending a lot of people there.
It's a prison for largely gang members.
Okay, so if it's a prison that you go to that you can never leave only through death,
gulag.
A gulag.
A little gulag action. Yeah,
but
see that's the thing.
Gulag.
I'm not invested in how El Salvador runs prisons. I don't care.
You actually are.
I'm going to give you an example. In my family,
yes, we are now.
Almost got deported. Real talk. My sister-in-law, she's been here for 25 years. She's owned 4 businesses in America, paid God only knows how much taxes. She has 2 kids, married to a full-blown American citizen. She has tried on and off over those 25 years to get her citizenship, but
mostly
there's always some kind of bullshit.
Years, right?
No, it's like you can only do this in person in New York. You have to have this thing. We need this thing from the Malaysian government. We have to do this and whatever. She's been here most of her life now, but she missed getting deported by ICE by like this much because a Chinese restaurant that she was managing hired some Nepalese students who, by the way, were legal green card holders here in Dallas. ICE rolled up, arrested all the Nepalese kids, and just shook down everybody looking for documents and everything and non-citizens. And if she had not taken her lunch break to go somewhere else, my sister-in-law would be deported, or maybe to God knows where, or for what, with little to no oversight or due process.
So she's been here illegally for a quarter century, and she hasn't become a citizen?
No, she's been here legally for a quarter century. She keeps getting the visa renewed, but that doesn't mean shit when ICE shows up.
As far as having a visa?
Yeah. The students had visas. They all got arrested.
Did they deport them?
Oh, fuck if I know. They're just gone.
It doesn't seem like due process or right or wrong is really part of how ICE is operating.
No.
There's a real issue in that, like, we do have a situation where one side of our political coin can, with no process whatsoever, import millions and millions and millions of people during their term, and then the other side can't remove the illegal people brought in. Like, it's a huge kerfuffle to try and undo a lot of the damage that's done, borderline intentionally. Actually, you can just say straight up intentionally. Biden administration instructed his feds
Grade A.
to
What
tear
about this?
down.
Biden administration was pushing for a comprehensive border security bill. An orange man got on his dumbass Truth Social, threatened Republican senators to kill it just to make Kamala and Biden.
The Biden administration was tearing down borders that the Texas state officials put to try and prevent people from getting in.
Because
and
those
so
are
they
stupid
clearly,
as fuck. Putting up.
Do you think they removed it because it's stupid
thing.
as fuck, or because they're trying to encourage it? Like, they are tacitly encouraging illegal migration, and that's not something we want. And so there does need to be a solution. It's a problem. What is a solution that would be tenable to you? Like, what is a way to deport illegals that you would go, I'm down with this, that is actually functionally effective? Not something where it's like,
okay,
oh, well, we take every individual and then it takes 10 years and $1 jillion, and then we finally move them back to Venezuela. And so that seems to be an issue, is like, there's no meaningful compromise that will be accepted by both sides.
Well, I'm not writing the policies, but we do have deportation procedures in place. We have procedures for, we'll start at the very beginning, arresting people. I would prefer that ICE or any law enforcement agency not roll up in a minivan with plain clothes and face mask on and not identify themselves when they arrest people, because I would fucking shoot. I conceal carry if somebody did that to me or my wife.
So there's no badges. So number one, you want, I thought all of them wore badges and identification, but if they're not, then yeah.
Have you not seen the videos where they don't do that? They'll roll up in a minivan and snatch your ass right off the street.
All right, throw badges on. Step one.
So officers that identify themselves. You need very basic due process, simple warrants, some minimal judicial oversight for warrant and search procedures and processes. When people do get arrested for illegally immigrating and violating the law, they should still be entitled to at least a short hearing or trial or some sort of administrative procedure to explain themselves, even if it's a streamlined one.
Maybe they could produce a birth
blows.
certificate, because some of these guys they're going after are citizens.
Whole ass American citizens are getting arrested, and it's only going to get worse. And part of that is because they're skipping all these steps. So that's a big one. Another one is you need to deport people back to somewhere that is safe. That's difficult for people that fled countries supposedly to escape gang violence. That's number one thing that asylum seekers claim here, is that it's dangerous for them to go home under those circumstances. We can update those rules because obviously some people are lying and some aren't.
Yeah.
But at a minimum,
very abusable
if you snuck into the United States illegally to pick vegetables or maybe just bum around and try to get some Social Security, I don't think that means that you and your family should go to El Salvador in a concentration camp where you're going to get raped by actual MS-13 members until you finally give up and kill yourself.
Okay, well, that's a nice little bit of exposition you added at the end.
That's a good
but
guy.
Like, what if they're from El Salvador? And in my view, if you're illegal, the only thing they need to determine as far as due process is being 100% sure that you are here legally. You are not a citizen. And once that's been established, that person doesn't belong here. They snuck into our country. They committed a felony in the process, and they should be removed and sent back to their country of origin. And then it's up to that country's government as to what happens, which more likely than not will just be like, all right, well, fucking don't do that. But the idea that like we should be sending people to supermax prison, unless they're an actual MS-13 agent, then yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that's a good move. Yeah. But there does need to be a way to handle this, because
there's definitely better ways. I actually agree with you. I know I'm the left-wing guy here, and I'm not going to come out and say that our immigration system is perfect or whatever. But what the Trump administration is doing is like, these rules, fuck all that shit. We're just rounding them up and shipping them out as fast as we can. And when you do that, you inevitably trample on the rights of regular citizens, and you normalize a process of non-citizens not having rights. And just so that we're all clear here, if you are a legal resident of the United States, a tourist, whatever, you have roughly equivalent legal rights as a citizen in terms of things like freedom of speech and association and religion.
Can't you be deported as a... Well, I don't think they have anywhere near our rights, because H-1B visa holders can be deported for losing their job. That's not something that happens to Americans.
Because the visa was granted on condition of getting the job. But what we're doing is we're arresting and deporting students at universities that just had big fucking mouths on Twitter or did a little college protest or
Well, yeah.
whatever.
All right. So that
And
I like that. I love that they're getting all of those.
Kyle's more pro this than
So
me.
you're like,
I
so
saw they
Kyle,
got all
you
those
hate free
FBI
speech.
agents who took a knee back in 2020. They got all them today and fired them.
My love of free speech supersedes my love of deporting illegals.
You know
in
who they
this
just
game.
deported? There was I can't remember which Ivy League school. It was the professor who went to attend the Hezbollah leader's funeral. I'm pretty sure we killed him. Like, they asked her, like, you support this? What this guy's up to? He's like, yeah, absolutely, I support Hezbollah. So like, oh well, you don't get to be here anymore teaching. No, I love that. All those people who took away students' rights. Look, that Israeli thing is a whole other pickle. But I when you start siding with terrorists because you don't like the Israelis, then you lose me. You know, I those people need to be gone. If you're siding with a terrorist organization, if you're talking terrorist shit, if you're putting students at fear, like, look, again, Israeli government's one thing. Students at your university who are Jewish are another. Like making those people afraid, attacking those people. They kidnapped that poor fucking janitor. Like
They
that shit
kidnapped
got
the
wild.
janitor?
Those are crimes. Those are crimes. And those people can be deported because they committed crimes on their visa, which I think if they get arrested, it shouldn't be plainclothes agents with no process. But there are people that are getting deported just for being associated with the groups or
Are
for
they
their social
illegal?
media posts.
Because
No,
if they
it was
are
a
illegal,
case
then
of,
they've also
a
committed
French
a felony.
maybe Zach can Google this. I want to say a French scientist tried to travel to the US, I think for a climate talk or some shit like that.
Get him out of here.
Yeah,
That's
this guy had
gay.
a
We're not
bunch of
putting up with
mouthy
this
opinions
anymore.
about Trump. And literally because of that, the agents looked at his phone and was like, we're not letting you in, period. There's so much shenanigans. And you would say, okay, fuck these people. They're not citizens. But the reality is if you only citizens have rights, then America turns into the UAE. And you have to be here and have protection and like an Emirati looking after you. Because if you can't travel freely and visit America without having some degree of like, well, I made the wrong guy mad, so now I'm going to El Salvador for arbitrary reasons, nobody's going to want to be here. And that's going to fuck up our economy.